Oh, hi there, baby bats. Hey, it's your Goth Dad. I had some comments recently about how to start a Goth night. And this is something I know a lot about because I did start a Goth night about 10 years ago here in Athens, Georgia. Hence, actually, why I'm all gussied up right now is I'm going to go DJ our Goth night. And it has the most Goth name ever. It's called Athens Goth Night. It's very on the nose, very apropos. I think a lot of people have a lot of questions about how to start a Goth night because it seems like it's this mysterious thing and it's maybe a big undertaking and it's going to require a ton of work and effort. And some of that is true, but it's actually pretty straightforward. You just have to kind of know where to start and have some expectation management especially. So to give you a little bit of background, I started this Goth night with my friend Steven, and we grew to be a 4 DJ crew that runs and facilitates the Goth night. That includes Adria from Tears for the Dying and Dan Geller, who was the original bass player with me in the Vision video. We started the Goth night not long after I came back from the military, which was around 2016, and I was bartending at the Georgia Theater in downtown Athens, and Steven was running the bar at the time, and he and I went to high school together. We were into that kind of music in high school, and one day he said, hey, we should start a Goth night. And I really didn't even understand. I was like, oh, do you want to just play it on the house speakers and just have Goth music be playing while I'm bartending? And he's like, no, we should DJ and have like a dance party. And I was like, oh, I don't really know how to DJ. And he had been DJing for a couple of years at that point. So he's like, no, I can teach you some stuff. It's pretty straightforward. So he taught me some basics and we put out a flyer. And it all kind of went from there. And at this point now, we are at a place where we have about 150 to 170 people come on average, which is really good considering Athens, Georgia is nestled deep within the South. We are a pretty progressive town, but we're in a sea of red bullshit. It's a college town, and it's not very populated. I think the population here is like 130,000, and that includes like 30 or 40,000 students. So it's not a big city. But we managed to do really well, and I think a lot of that is a testament to the work that we put into making it a really cool, enjoyable night. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to find a venue. This is the most important aspect of starting out, and what I highly recommend doing, especially if you're in a medium or small size town, is to find a place that is pretty small to begin with. A small venue is technically about 100 capacity or below. These are generally going to be cheaper places. They may or may not have a really good sound system, but typically they'll have at least some sort of PA, and there may or may not be a sound engineer that is included in how they book those nights at that venue, depending on if it's more of a music-oriented place or if it's a restaurant or a bar or something like that. You really want to have a place that has a PA starting out because renting a PA and bringing that is complicated if you don't know what you're doing. And it's a lot of work and effort, and it's going to be expensive as well. Insofar as booking actual venues, you can go to those venues. But the best option is to go online, look at their website. There is almost always going to be a booking email, and shoot them an email. Just be very straightforward, be professional. Oftentimes in the late afternoons or early evenings, somebody will be there at the venue. You can knock on the door and ask to talk to the manager. Make sure you actually read the email. You've got proper punctuation and correct spelling, and just tell them, hey, I'm looking to book this venue to do a Goth night. If it works well, we would love to do a reoccurring night, and just tell them about your vision and keep it short and simple. Ideally, it's a place with a bar and extra bonus points if there's food because, not everybody's going to be dancing all the time or drinking all the time. There's going to be a lot of people that you'll see kind of hang out on the periphery, and they are there specifically for the community, for the ability to hang out and meet new people and talk. And just be around like-minded individuals who are into the same stuff as they are. As you grow, which will take some time, or maybe not, maybe you'll have a smash hit and you can grow immediately and move on to the next place. But as you grow, you'll want to start considering scaling up to a different venue. This is where you're looking at, that 100 capacity plus, where you're at a proper music venue with a really good sound system. Now you're going to pay more money for those places because you're going to pay for the rental fee of the room, and also you're going to be paying for the sound engineer, and some places even the bartenders and stuff like that. It just depends, and you need to talk to the venue manager to figure out what the fees are, and just do simple math to figure out, how many people do we have to get through the door to make this worthwhile. On that point, you're never going to make a lot of money off of this, if at all. We make a little bit of money now, but a lot of our money kind of goes back into funding larger events or doing cool stuff down the road, like we do a goth prom every year and things like that. So you're never going to get rich off goth music. It's a niche thing anyway. I mean, I don't imagine anybody would ever be like, oh, I'm going to go become a millionaire from doing a goth night or something. So don't quit your job or anything like that. As far as advertising is concerned, I think starting out, a great way to do it is to make physical flyers and go put them up in record stores, go put them up in comic shops, in game stores, basically anything that's kind of nerdy or weird. Go put a flyer up. Obviously ask for permission from the business owner, but most of those places are going to be cool and they're going to be happy to facilitate that kind of thing. As far as DJs are concerned, learning to DJ is very easy. You don't have to be like a master of mixing and doing all this technical stuff. It can just be a playlist, and you can just kind of hit play and change songs if that's where you are at for a starting point. There's nothing wrong with that, especially in the beginning. If you're trying to grow it and improve, you've got to either improve your own abilities as a DJ or get somebody that you're willing to pay to do it for you that is good at it. But I highly recommend starting out just having somebody that's willing to either do it for free if as you're growing that scene, or to do it yourself, because DIY is at the very beating black heart of goth and post-punk music. So one thing that a lot of people ask about is safety, which is a very important aspect of running a goth night. Dan and myself and Adrian, Steven, we all have a general sensibility of who is there, what's going on. And there's basically an open door policy that if anybody has a problem, they can come talk to us, and we will directly mediate that. We want to create a place where everybody feels safe and able to express themselves without taking away from anybody else's ability to do so. If you're in a bigger town or a city or whatever, you might want to consider doing a dress code. We don't have one in Athens because we're not big enough to where it's like out of our control, and we want to welcome in new people, and a lot of people that are like getting into it, they might feel a little reticent to come to your goth night if they feel like they have to abide by a dress code. But in your bigger towns and cities, I think it's often very appropriate because it basically keeps out the looky-loos and the gawkers. And the most awful cohort of people is the men who fetishize goth women and are there to hit on goth women or harass goth women, and is really obnoxious. And I've had to kick out people from our goth nights because they were doing so. So when it comes to something like a dress code, you've got to use your intuition, your knowledge of your local scene, and your understanding of any given night. One night might be completely different from the next, but if you get a sense that you have a lot of people trying to come in that are not within the actual goth subculture, who don't care about it, who are just there to hit on women, you might want to consider instituting that dress code just to keep it a little bit of a barrier, a little bit of a filter from those people just getting in and causing problems. To me, goth music is an umbrella, and there are many other subgenres that fit underneath that umbrella that work well together, but are very different in and of themselves. And within our own tastes as DJs, we all have very different and eclectic tastes, but we all bring something different to the table, and that creates a diverse palette for different people who have different musical tastes to find something that they're going to enjoy when they come to our nights. They may not like what one DJ does, but they'll definitely like what the next one does. Getting the word out, you're definitely going to want to start some sort of social media presence like an Instagram, Facebook page, TikTok, etc. These things will go a long way at helping you build that community and that audience, and also just get the information out about when your nights are. One thing that's really important to remember about booking also is that Most venues book between 4 to 6 months in advance these days. It's very rare that you're going to be able to call a venue to get a night on the calendar for a weekend, like in just a month away even. You're going to have to look 4 to 6 months down the road for those nights. Another aspect of growth is always record how many people came every time you do a goth night. That way, when you do get to a point where you think, okay, we need to go to a different venue because it's gotten larger and we want to grow and make this like in a cooler space that we've been eyeballing for a long time. Well, that space may want to have some sort of evidence, some empirical evidence that they can look at. And if you have just a simple spreadsheet by dates of how many people attended, that will go a long way at helping convince a larger venue that, hey, we can actually bring people and I have the data to prove it. I highly recommend doing your goth nights in the beginning for free. And that's just basically going to create awareness and visibility for your night where people don't feel like they have to commit to something that they don't know if they're going to enjoy or not. I think that really matters in smaller towns as well. At the end of the day, the most important aspect of starting a goth night is making sure that it's fun. I've always found it very bizarre that goth people in a lot of media are portrayed as like very sad, forlorn, comically morose people, when in reality I've never really experienced somebody in real life that is like that as a presenting goth. Almost everybody that I meet as presenting goths, when you talk to them, are like animated and fun and eccentric and weird, but not sulking off in the shadows in a corner somewhere. I mean, I'm sure that they exist. I just haven't met them yet. Goth is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be an exciting thing, and none of this is really worth doing if it's not fun, to be honest with you. So every time you do a goth night, just ask yourself, how can we make this better? How can we make this more fun? How can we make this more exciting for the people that make this happen, which is your people that support your community and your scene? There's a fucking train next to my house, and every time I film something, the train goes by. Another note on safety: depending on what kind of town you are in, what the demographics are like, what the culture is like in the area, you might want to consider having somebody that is a security person. That's not to say just to have like some like strong tough guy at the door or whatever, but have somebody that's trained in de-escalation and response and crowd control. Having somebody like that at an event where you could have people come in to, say, harass women or whatever, it will go a long way at making that place remain safe and comfortable for everybody to have a good time. This point goes without saying, but I feel like I have to anyway. Make sure you play goth music. I will be the first to say that a majority of the music that actually gets played in a lot of goth nights is not straight up goth music, but it is sort of goth adjacent music, a lot of new wave, post-punk, etc. But make sure you're throwing people some true blue goth rock classics every now and then. You're going to get a lot of requests for things like Korn and Marilyn Manson and Metallica and Evanescence and all these other like nu metal type bands that people often conflagrate incorrectly in their mind as goth. And you just have to graciously be like, hey, we don't play that kind of music here. We just do goth music and goth adjacent. And most people will kind of get the picture at that point. There's no harm in investing in a really simple fog machine. Make sure it uses water-based fog solution and not oil-based, because those are a nightmare and they will set off the smoke alarms. And also check with your venue to make sure that you're able to use that fog machine, but it goes a long way for creating a really cool ambiance. A big thing that I see a lot of goth nights do very wrong is that it is way too bright. Make sure that it fits the mood and the vibe. You want to have a very dark, very alluring, mysterious vibe to it, because people will feel more comfortable when it is darker to dance. I promise you. I know this from many years of being in places where it is way too bright and people are not dancing, and then being in like almost utter darkness and everybody is dancing. Anyway, I hope all this really helps you get an idea of how you might want to do your own goth night, to build your own scene, because a lot of places just don't have one already, and it could be you. If you don't have a goth night in your area, what's stopping you from doing it? Just go out there and do it. Yeah, you might fail. Maybe nobody will come. Maybe the first time you do it, 5 people come. But then the next time you do it, 25 people come. And then the next time, 50, and so on and so forth, until you have a really amazing community that has been built around this nucleus of the Goth Night dance party experience. Anyway, if you have any questions or comments, you know where to put them. I will try to respond to them, and let me know what you think about all this. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, stay strange.